Just go to Monica Hydrophonic. What's up, everybody? So, I want to start out by saying I think we all have. I've talked to a couple of occultists, and then we have like a shit ton of books. We all have a lot of books because there's a lot of information out there, and that we need to absorb being occultists. And I've talked to a couple of them where like we're reading like 3 or 4 books at the same time, and for me, this isn't always a good thing. Like obviously we're excited to read the book and gather new information. But I think for me, it's been kind of like there's like this romanticism that goes with when you're starting to read a new book. So you're really excited about it. You're really wanting to get into it. So you tend to read it longer. And then after a while, you kind of start losing that because of our old reading habits tend to like tend to like creep up on us after a while. That oomph that we had for the book is no longer, it starts to fade away. Obviously, we still want to learn about the information, so we start another book. And then after that, we start another book. And then we kind of go back to the first book, and then it takes us a lot longer to finish the second half or whatever, however fast you read, later on. Well, I was talking to somebody I know who used to work for the state. Now, as I was mentioning to this person that, how I heard somewhere that George W. Bush, because they were talking about some event that they had attended at some point, and then I said that I heard that he reads a book a day, which, as dumb as that motherfucker is, there is no way that he reads a book a day, right? This is what my thought process, because this man didn't seem very intelligent to me. And then when this person expressed to me is that actually, when I worked for the state, a lot of the people, like senators or like upper echelon kind of people, or even within the Senate in any kind of way, shape, or form, have to know how to read fast because they have so much material that goes over their desk throughout the day. So they all take speed reading classes. And I was like, no shit, they take speed reading classes? And she was like, yes, they take speed reading classes because they have to be able to keep up with this information. And because information is always changing, they got to be able to like skim and read, right? So it's not just skimming. There's a big misconception that people think that speed reading is just skimming. It can be, but it is not always just skimming. So I decided to look into this. I asked them, well, are there any courses that you could recommend? And there was actually a school here in town that they knew about. However, I don't think it was around anymore, or the tuition was pretty expensive. So I decided to, using my old criminal mentality, if it's out there, it's free, you just got to figure out how to get it. It wasn't that difficult to find. I just Googled speed reading classes and then found some tutorials on YouTube, and there are several out there. The one I found was for, I think it's Iris is the name of it. I'll add a link in the description. And it's like a 5-video course. I took the 5-video course, and at the end of the 5-video course, I didn't really think that I improved very much. However, I did notice some things were different. All right, there's little tricks that the guy teaches you. And this morning, while I was in the bathroom, I'm reading this book by Michael Ford. And normally I don't like Michael Ford stuff because there's a lot of information in there. He's talking about all kinds of shit. I'm like, hurry up and get to the magic, bro. And this has kind of been my mentality, hurry up and get to the magic. So I'm missing out on a lot of the information. And so I decided to apply what I had learned this morning, on this PDF that I'm reading on my phone. So I started reading it on the phone, and man, normally what would take me, like that whole time in the bathroom, like it wasn't super long time. I probably would have read like a page, maybe 2, just kind of like trying to absorb the information, right? When I applied what I had learned, and my comprehension would not have been that high. I would still have to have gone back and reread it. And that's just something that I accepted, right? I just have to reread shit. I'm just like, okay, I'm just fucking so stupid. I'm gonna have to reread shit all the time. And then after a while, I was like, man, that's not something I really want to. I don't think I'm stupid, So anyway, I did what I learned from the course the day before, and honestly, man, like I read 4 pages of material in the time, and plus doing all the other stuff I needed to do, very rapidly. And I know some people are going to make fun of this. Well, you blah blah blah. This is not about who's better than what. You're just trying to be better than who you are. If if you can read 5 pages within a certain amount of time, or like a short amount of time, maybe this, you can get up to 10. You know what I'm saying? Maybe if you can read whatever, this is to make you better. This isn't to like try to boast on my point, on my like reading skills, or for anyone to boast on their reading skills. This is not my point at all. It's to make you better at what it is that you want to do, and that's being an occultist and learning this information. That there's so much out there. We got to figure out faster ways to get it into our brain. All right, because when we learn how to read when we're kids, we learn mathematics, spelling, all this kinds of stuff, and and then whenever we go on to higher grades, we continue to learn like mathematics. We continue to learn more complex ways in order to apply mathematics. But with reading, we don't. All we do is learn how to sound the stuff out in our heads. So basically, we're going over the things and we're sounding it off in our heads. Now, I talk fast because there's a lot going on in my fucking brain and I have to move faster. So sounding shit out in my head is very tedious for me when I'm reading a fucking book. So I've had to almost go into like almost a meditative state when I'm reading, which is can be okay at times, but then I tend to get tired and fall asleep. So then I'm not able to absorb the information that I want, because one, my reading comprehension is like just focus on certain words, sounding them out in my head, which is what we do when we read. If we have not taken a course on learning how to read further, and then I barely retain any of the information, man. I'm having to go back like 2, sometimes 3 times in order just to get what the fuck this dude is talking about, or whoever the writer is talking about. And so this morning when I did it though, I read a lot faster. I only went over it once, and I remembered everything that I read. And I know this doesn't sound phenomenal to some people, but to me it was a big deal. And I know this is just one day. So I know applying this technique over and over and over again, I'll get better and better and better. And you just use your finger, kind of go over. There's certain exercises that he does that you can utilize and practice with, right? So I followed along. Now he talks about, there's an article that he wants everybody in the class, where it's a lecture. So everybody in the lecture is reading this article, and it's set up a certain way, so there's like 10 words per line or some shit. Well, instead of getting the article, I just grabbed the fucking book, and then I just read it to a certain spot. And I grabbed my Stephanie Connolly, the Demonologist's Guide to Demonic Magic, Connolly, and then I just started reading somewhere, man. And then I just got as far as I could get within the amount of time that he had given me, with the parameters that he tells you to read in. So he tells you to read for comprehension first, just like to really try to soak up the information. And we're taught a lot of things like that. If we repeat things in our head, that we'll get it or whatever. Like, all this is just bullshit. You know, like, we really have to relearn how to read. We're not in the fucking elementary school anymore, to where this is beneficial to us. We don't have to sound words out. We know what the fucking words mean. All right, we can just go ahead and just like do read a lot faster, because what's going on in our brain learns a lot faster than our mouth can fucking move. All right, so I did that, man, and I was oh wow, that's crazy. I opened up the same page, which is pretty cool. Yeah, so I learned yesterday, she was talking about Ouija boards. And normally I would have put this off, because I would have been like, man, I don't feel like reading that shit right now, because I know it would take me a while to pick it up. But with this technique, and I keep doing this because you use your finger and you kind of skim with your finger, and it kind of, I said skim, but it's like you're reading. It's, you know, you're reading the information, you're soaking it in. And so obviously with certain kinds of material, you're going to lag a little bit. So if you have really technical material, or if like very deep historical material, like words, foreign words like Sumerian, or other words, you know, like Persian. Right now I'm reading a book by Michael Ford, the Drauga. And I'm also reading a book by Curtis Joseph about Ahriman. I'm really into this right now. So the counter creation. And so this right here, I've been doing ritual to ask how to become smarter and absorb my information. And this is what happened. And so and to retain that information, because I know it's my information, man. I'm tired of reading shit over and over again, and it's frustrating. But I know, like, I really want to learn this information. So this is a way you can step up your game in your reading, and then apply it. You know, like, if your reading steps up, that's more information you get into your brain. Makes you a better occultist, makes you smarter, makes you, you know. And if you have to like stop and look up a word every once in a while, that's totally cool. And if you still have to reread shit, that's totally cool, because you're reading at like a so much faster rate. It's not that big of a deal. You're skimming, so you skim a line, and say you miss that line, you just skim it twice, and then you go back, you keep on going. You skim it twice. eventually, hopefully, you'll move past the point, or I'll move past the point, to where I'm not just having to reskim or whatever, but it's not like, or glide or whatever the fuck it's called. Anyway, so there's it's 5 videos, and within these 5 videos, you can go more in depth. I think the class is like, the entire class is like $200 or something like that. But from just this little bit, I was very impressed, and like I said, I applied it this morning, and I already can read so much faster. Like from 1 page to 4, that's 4 times faster than I'm reading now, you know. And so, and that's just sitting on the toilet, man. And I wasn't there for very long. It's not like I'm constipated, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm there for like a couple of minutes, and I'm reading like 4 pages in a couple of minutes, and that's like boom, boom, boom. You know, I'm turning. I was really impressed with it. So, and even if that's as far as I get, that's awesome. But I know it's not, you know. But that's, even if it is, that's awesome. So hopefully this helps somebody out, man. If not, go fuck yourself. Just kidding. Hopefully it helps somebody out, man. Good luck out there.